Good afternoon, Desiree. Thank you for the privilege, and good afternoon to everyone.
I hope sound doesn't fail us in this conversation. But as you bring in the fourth installment of the summit, each one comes at a different time in the social justice conversations in South Africa. What are the most important social justice conversations taking place in the country right now?
I think there are two key areas of social justice that the country is grappling with. One is economic justice. The other one is socio-psychological equality. We have addressed political equality. We have addressed legal equality. But progress, even on those fronts, is marked by lack of progress on the front of economic justice as a dimension of social justice and social and psychological equality.
So the global theme this year is achieving social justice through formal employment. Why did the institution, why did Stellenbosch not go with this theme and you instead went with the theme of restitution? Just unpack that theme for us.
The reason we did that is because the global theme looks at standardized progress across the world. And if you're looking at Europe, for example, where there is relative equality, it's the most equal continent where the Gini coefficient is the lowest. The biggest issue is not wealth inequality, income inequality, social inequality. The biggest challenge is access to work and decent work for everyone. In South Africa, if we focused on work only, we would really be playing to Verwoerd's dream that those who were excluded during apartheid should only aspire to be employed by someone else. Incidentally, that's what my father thought we deserved as children. But the reality is that everyone deserves to dream as much as they want, to be owners of business, to have the same wealth as others, to be scientists like others, to really occupy all spaces of opportunity in society. And in South Africa is the most unequal society in the world, while unequal not just in the workplace, in all aspects of life.
Prof, social justice understandably can become very academic. How do the people this process is supposed to benefit engage with this discourse?
We use this discourse specifically, Desiree, to make sure that everyone can play a role. And we have defined social justice in the simplest of terms. In the simplest of terms, social justice is fairness to all. But based on our court jurisprudence, social justice is equal enjoyment of all rights and freedoms. But our courts have also said that equal enjoyment is substantive equality, not just formal equality. In other words, not just equality in terms of law, where Palesa Musa suffers exactly the same exclusion that she suffered because of past laws. But this time around, she suffers those exclusions because of poverty. So substantive equality is when we open the gates of opportunity to everyone, whether they are at Stellenbosch Debord or at Stellenbosch Kayamandi.
So what will be happening at the summit? Give us the composition of the program.
Right. We've started already with the conference part of it, and we had the minister in the presidency, the Honorable Mondli Gungubele, giving us the keynote address. And then we had one of our own, the new Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, Professor Sibusiso Moyo, giving us another keynote address. We had the Dean of Law, Prof Nicholas Smith, give us an address, and we had a video played from Hannah Nicole Smith, an American who looks at slavery, transatlantic slavery, and its impact and the call for restitution. And then we're now going to go into theories and approaches to social justice now. In the afternoon, we're going to go into 5 thematic areas. One, looking at the economy in terms of wealth, parity in wealth, parity in income, and of course, the workplace. And then we're going to have one that's going to look at social life, which is something we haven't looked at even under COVID-19. Whereas if you look at how white poverty was addressed, they used a systems approach. It was designed by engineers, where you don't think you can just address education and hope people will be equal when those people don't have access to jobs. They don't have the capacity to create jobs. Even when they do create jobs, they don't have the access to markets. And then we're going to have one that looks into land, other forms of property, etc. And then the last one is going to look at digital inclusion, education, and epistemology. Those who are going to be discussing epistemology, they're going to talk about who do we regard as knowledgeable. Desiree, it is shocking when you listen to young people who think our ancestors can only be blamed for allowing colonialism, and our current, more recent ancestors can only be blamed for corruption and possibly for selling out. And our children need to know that they stand on shoulders of giants, those who created mathematics, those who created democracy, those who started medicine, those who navigated the seas long before other nations did that. They started writing. And epistemology is going to talk to that to say, as part of decolonization, how do we tell the truth about who created knowledge without being chauvinistic, but being just honest about the fact that Africa's contribution to the world has not just been to be colonized and the subject of slavery. In fact, we were colonized and the subject of slavery because, as Steve Biko and Pixley Gaseme say, whilst others were pursuing wars and perfecting the art of war, we were perfecting the art of Ubuntu, the capacity to be human and the capacity to live together peacefully and cooperatively.
Really important conversations, and of course you can never leave out the subject of technology, which speaks to the future not only of South Africa but in terms of the global picture. Prof, we have you here, so might as well ask. We've just come out of September, a month where we saw high-profile arrests by the NPA related to state capture. What are your thoughts in terms of these developments?
Well, I'm just grateful that there is accountability that is emerging around state capture. And I am grateful that organizations such as Defend Our Democracy are helping people to understand why should they participate in pushing against state capture and ensuring accountability, making the link between the quest for social justice or a world that improves the lives of everyone, an opportunity for everyone, versus state capture where a few capture the state not only just for self-enrichment, but also to turn policies into their private property. In other words, state capture does not only undermine social justice, it actually crushes democracy altogether.
Thanks for that. And just in terms of our viewers wanting to engage with the processes, how can they go about this?
Right. There are two ways. Some are coming here. Unfortunately, we have limited space, and we thank Boshendal. Boshendal Conference Center is given to us for free because they support all civil society organizations that want to advance justice, whatever dimension of justice you want to advance. So we are at Boshendal for the next 2 days. Tomorrow we're doing the summit. Today, the conference is global. That's why we're touching on slavery. We're going to look at a Holocaust and all kinds of harm that happened in the past, but that continue to poison the present. And then tomorrow we'll be focusing on South Africa's past, present, and future, and restitution as one of the levers of social justice to help us to get into the future much faster than we have been doing. And people are entitled to hop in. So we have a link that is called Hop In. So just hop in and you can participate in the mainstream conference, or you can hop into a specific session when we do thematic sessions this afternoon. Tomorrow we'll do the same thing. The keynote speaker tomorrow is the Minister of Justice. And then again, we're going to have a keynote panel where we're going to have 4 South Africans talk to their experiences in terms of how the past continues to mark their present and their attempt to lean into the future. And included among those will be the story of Sarah Baartman, who was ridiculed, dehumanized, and made into a freak. But she has been restored because one poet, Diane Ferris, wrote a poem about her, which reached the French president or the French parliament. And because of that, her remains were repatriated and the law made that possible. So we'll discuss again the South African story, but within the context of also social justice between continents and what should we do about reparations across continents and between countries.